Today, across the globe, is an international day of something.
No Tobacco Day.
Okay. Today is the World International No Tobacco Day.
Yeah.
We had a conversation the other day with someone from the Nairobi City County government and a campaigner against tobacco use in the country. And now today we want to have another conversation with people who have worked intimately with persons who have actually been addicted to tobacco use. One of them is Harrison Mwaura Irongo. He's a counseling psychologist and an addiction counselor, a rehab manager with Wonder Peace Wellness Center. Karibu sana, Harrison.
Asante sana.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante sana.
And then Boniface Gachoka is a Secretary General of the Bar, Hotel and Liquor Traders Association, Barlita.
Thank
with
you
a
so
H. B-A-H. Not B-A-R.
Not B-A-R.
Barlita. Barlita. Karibu bahali yake.
Asante sana. Thank you so much.
All right. So I'll welcome you with the day's proverb. CT, who would have been seated there, would have given you the proverb. The week proverbs this week are from the Republic of Zimbabwe. What's the capital of Zimbabwe? Boniface?
Harare.
Harare. Very good. Harrison, who's the president of Zimbabwe?
You got me that one. Do I say faster? It's Nani.
Muna something.
Yeah, exactly.
The crocodile.
The crocodile. Exactly. Here is the proverb. If you're going to live by the river, make friends with the crocodile. If you're going to live by the river, make friends with the crocodile. What do you think this proverb is telling us, Harrison? What's your interpretation of it?
If you're going to live by the river, make friends with the crocodiles.
Yes.
When you go to Rome, do as the Romans do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to that place, be friendly with everybody that is there. Yes, that's my take.
Nice one. Boniface, what's yours?
Live within the circumstances. Live with the people. Live, adjust accordingly. That is it.
So if you go to a neighborhood that has delinquents, become a delinquent.
You know how to live with them.
Adjust. Okay. Introduce us to your organizations. Let's start with Barlita, the Bar, Hotel and Liquor Traders Association. What is it?
Barlita is the National Bar / Wines Owners Association. It was formed 20 years ago. The major purpose is to help our people comply with the law. We are managed by 364 laws, so we empower them through lobbying, training, and a lot of engagement with government and negotiations. We have 54,000 members. We are in 42 counties.
All right. Okay. Nyinyi ndio mnauza shisha?
That is an illegal product.
Good. A good answer. Harrison, what is the Wonder Peace Wellness Center?
Wonder Peace Wellness Center is a rehabilitation center that we are based in Ruiru, Kimbo. We deal with all addiction disorders relating to any drug and any process addiction. When you talk about any drug, be it alcohol, be it bang, be it mirror, be it cigarette, and process addiction, be it masturbation, be it gambling, be it pornography, all sorts of addiction, and we also deal with psychiatric condition. Psychiatric condition, this may be schizophrenia, any condition, bipolar, all those things. That is what we do. We are established in 2011. We have been in the operation for 13 years, and we have assisted so many people, over 1,000 clients who have recovered from any disorder that they were suffering from.
Who licenses your operations?
We are licensed by NACADA. NACADA is what regulates, and we have well-trained professional. I myself am a counseling psychologist, an addiction counselor, licensed by the Counselors and Psychologists Board of Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
So today, as we commemorate World No Tobacco Day, have you ever dealt with people who are addicted to tobacco?
Yes. I was one of them. I personally, I was a smoker. I have smoked cigarettes for over 10 years, but 3 years, 1 month, 22 days ago, I decided to call it quit and have not smoked for the last over 3 years.
Were you an addict?
Yes. It was to the level that when I woke up in the morning, I had to take a cigarette for me maybe to be operational, even to go to the toilet. So I had to take a cigarette. I used to make sure that when I'm sleeping, I have a cigarette by the bedside. So I take the cigarette so that I can be able to go to the toilet. And After every meal, I had to take a cigarette. You can imagine the financial consequences it was costing me. You can imagine the impact on my finances, even on family. You can imagine the breath that come about with cigarette smoking. It had affected me so badly. And when I decided to call it quit, life changed. I'm now a transformed person. And you can hear by my by my credentials, you can even see it's evident.
At the height of your addiction, how many sticks were you smoking a day?
I was smoking over 10 sticks on a good day. But sometimes I smoke even over 20, depending on the availability and maybe and what I was doing. If I was maybe occupied in something, they may be less. But if I was maybe idle the whole day, I could smoke a lot, even over 20 sticks per day. Yes.
And this is all just cigarettes?
This is just cigarettes, and maybe I was also, but today being World Tobacco Day, no Tobacco Day, I was also taking alcohol.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you say the same thing, Boniface? Have you ever smoked?
Of course, yes.
Of course, yes.
Sounds like stripes.
I've actually been smoking while hiding because sometimes you have to hide these things until something else was introduced to me. And nowadays, everybody believed that I stopped smoking. But I'm straining because there's something else that was introduced to me, which is nicotine pouches, which really improved my life, improved my my presence at home, and also really improved my relationships, even my leadership presence.
What do you mean?
Yes, because
cigarette had affected all those things?
Yes, of course, yes. Because being a leader, I mean, there's that smell, there's all that impact even to your children. When they run to you, they want to receive you, and you cannot access them because of you have to take some 2-3 things when you're being interfered with in your normal way of work. But when I was introduced to nicotine pouches, everything changed. And I think I'm an ambassador of nicotine pouches.
Where does this all start? Because we're looking at, when we say, because this is interesting, right? We're not looking at other like drugs or alcohol whereby you have a drink and then you may stagger and then you're drunk. You wouldn't see the effects of a smoker the way you would with another drug, would you? No, you wouldn't really. You have a cigarette and you walk along and you're fine. So how does the addiction start? To a point whereby you're just having a cigarette and you're just having a smoke. It could be a social activity, to the point whereby it becomes so much that you cannot operate without having one. I mean, you talk about 10 cigarettes a day, 20 cigarettes a day. There are people who are smoking packets in a day, right? So how does it get to that? Where did it all start from? When was how did that get to the point where it was just a smoke or two, to the point where now you say you were addicted?
We say addiction is a progressive disease. And addiction happens in stages, and there are 5 stages of addiction. The first stage, as you have described it, that is the point you first test your cigarette, which is the experimental stage. The moment you test your first cigarette, maybe out of your pressure, out of curiosity, out of maybe given by a friend and so on, you start your journey of cigarette smoking, which is the experimental. You go to the social stage, the second stage. The social stage is the stage where now you're doing it just for fun. Maybe you're feeling, today maybe it's Friday, I can just take 2 or something like that. That's the social stage. But when you go to stage 3, it is the instrumental stage. Instrumental stage now of cigarette smoking. This is the stage now where you are doing to compensate life, maybe grievances, life losses, life challenges, life stresses. And when you move to stage 4, which is now the habitual stage, your smoking becomes a habit. You smoke every day. And by the time you're reaching stage 5, which is now the addiction stage, we call it the substance use disorder or the compulsive stage, where now you have to live by the cigarette. I am stressed, cigarette. This and this happening, cigarette. And when you don't smoke, you start experiencing the withdrawal symptoms of cigarettes.
How do you feel when you take because let's talk about the addiction stage here, right? How do you feel when you take a smoke? I'm not talking about social smoking like we said before, or just one cigarette to maybe just feel a little bit whatever. How do you feel when you are at the addiction stage and you take a smoke? Because when we're talking about alcohol, you get drunk. You get drunk. You're taken to another place whereby things are blurry, things are hazy. You're living in an alternate reality momentarily, or for a long time. So with cigarette smoking, how does it feel when you take that smoke?
The smoke.
What do you feel?
When you take the cigarette, I can explain maybe in the what happens in the body. Cigarette triggers the release of a neurotransmitter called dopamine, and dopamine is the feel-good chemical. You feel good when you take food. You feel good when you walk. You feel good when you do something. So when you take a cigarette, it goes directly to the brain, triggering the dopamine chemical, and you feel that highness. You feel that relaxing, and you can that is the reason when people are feeling stressed, they say, "I need to take a cigarette." When they take the cigarette, it goes directly to the brain, releasing the chemical dopamine, and they feel relaxed. So anytime you are taking a cigarette, it is the chemical that is releasing the brain, causing you to feel relaxed, a certain highness, just like in alcohol. Anytime you are taking any drug, what you're targeting is not the liver, it's not even the lungs and so on. What you're targeting with any drug, be it cigarette or what, it is targeting the brain to release the feel-good chemical, the dopamine, and also the serotonin, maybe the mood chemical. So that is what we crave for. And anytime the brain will always remember the feel-good chemical. That is why you become addicted to that drug. Because you see, when maybe you do sex, you feel good with your wife and so on. But when you take a drug, maybe cigarette or so on, it is more pleasurable than sex. That is why people will prefer cigarette, will prefer alcohol over sex. Exactly, yes.
When you say you were hiding, Boniface, you smoke, but then you're hiding. What would make you hide from other people?
Of course, the social...
people smoke openly. Why would you be hiding?
It's not the culture. It's not our culture in Kenya for leaders to smoke publicly. And in a way, I think we cannot even mention of any politician. I think the previous president used to do a few things, and it was really confidential, and it had to be hidden. I don't know why. Maybe I would explain something on... the psychological impact. When you go to get a cigarette, what you're looking for is nicotine. So actually, even when you smoke or every time when you take an e-cigar or what have you, that nicotine is what brings a trigger. We actually a trigger. We call it a kick. That's now when dopamine and that feel good feeling comes into force. And that is why I'm really happy that actually one of the things that surprised me is that World Health Organization is the one that recommended for safer options to be brought for them to be consumed by our people and reduce the risks. So like, for example, e-cigarette, like something like nicotine pouches and what have you. And so some people with goodwill have come up with better ways of reducing the risks by 90%. And one of the risks, apart from the social risk that I'm giving, the other one is health risk and the other ones. So I am an ambassador who believes that smoking is addictive, is harmful, it has its own health risks. But if we come up with ways of how you're going to reduce my social negative impact when I'm consuming my things, I think those are the things that I would really support.
And these are the ones you're talking about at the nicotine pouch?
Yes, I'm talking about nicotine pouch.
So what's the difference between a nicotine pouch and a stick of cigarette?
Good. A stick of cigarette actually has tobacco. And what is grown in Kenya is tobacco. But when you go to smoke or to use e-cigarettes and the others, what you're looking for is nicotine in tobacco. And that is what brings this feel-good feeling, and that is what he's talking about. So now they are, through the recommendation of WHO, they recommended for the guys who are in that industry to come up with something good that we can extract nicotine and give it to consumers without the risks. Let me give you an example of nicotine pouches. Nicotine pouches are smokeless. And maybe I would like to give you some information. When you're burning tobacco is burned at 900 degrees Celsius. So actually, ukichukua tobacco, you put it on your body, it'll get that is a cigarette, it'll get into your body. So these nicotine pouches are smokeless. So the process of burning them, you'll generate carcinogenic chemicals, which now will generate cancers and bring all those risks. So nicotine pouches have no smoke. There is no fire that is engaged in this conversation. So you just take them and you're good to go. You get the kick that you get. And I'll give you an example. Some countries like Switzerland, they've actually gone ahead and they even have a target. In the next 5 years or so, they are completely going to wide out cigarettes. And they're going to transit to nicotine pouches, which is something that has been adopted. And
Are you saying they're not addictive?
Yeah. So now, on the side of addiction...
What's the addictive element in a cigarette?
It's actually...
nicotine, is it?
It's actually nicotine.
Okay.
Is what... And we appreciate that cigarettes and nicotine pouches, they have addiction and what have you. But the risk in nicotine pouches has been reduced. And in which case, I think consumption of nicotine and tobacco is legal. So it has its own impact. I'll even give you some statistics. In the world, 1 billion people, they use nicotine pouches or cigarette. And from these campaigns that are being done by WHO and any other government authority, including the Ministry of Health, the only impact they have is 1% in terms of reduction. So these people, they have to be given a safer option because they will not leave it. And it's by choice and is allowed by law. And that's why I'm an ambassador of nicotine pouches, e-cigarettes, and better ways on how we can serve these people the pleasure that they want, but reduce the risk by 90%.
Maybe I can add something on that. When you're talking about maybe the no tobacco world day, we are talking about maybe eliminating tobacco. And when maybe we receive clients at our institution to help them maybe quit tobacco, there are certain things that you can do to them maybe to reduce their cravings. The withdrawal symptoms for cigarettes, they are very severe, and you can become irritable, increased appetite, and so on, including dry lips and so on. But when you're not introducing the nicotine pouches, what you are doing, you are not minimizing the risk of nicotine. You still experience all the effect. You're getting the nicotine. There's something people call Chavis. I don't know whether you have ever heard of it. They put it in the mouth. It still has all the effects. When talking about Vero also has nicotine, and in fact it was banned by the government recently. It has all the effects. When talking about the e-cigarettes and so on, still it is tobacco, but yes, they reduce, but it is not the end thing about tobacco. So the theme for this year about no tobacco is about protecting the children from tobacco to the tobacco industry interference and so on. So when you're talking about tobacco, it is eliminating it completely. And for those people who are still in addiction and they want to reduce, yes, they can go the e-cigarettes, but the end goal should be to reduce it. They stop completely. Total abstinence. That should be the goal.
And which is where the issue comes in here, because there's the alternatives. And, they're branded as safer alternatives and ways of helping people to quit. But this should be a managed process, shouldn't it? I mean, it's you don't just say that because people have been addicted to nicotine by smoking and lighting up a cigarette, that now the alternative is you give them the same nicotine in a different way. You have not helped.
You have not helped.
And cure them of the addiction.
Actually,
if you're getting them out of it, it has to be a managed process.
Actually, I'll give you a few things. Some research that has been done. And this is the issue we've been having with the government in terms of we want facts. We want science-based research. We want a well-investigated and documented convincing research that can support their activities for us to be able to attain the objective. First of all, let me speak about children. We don't even speak about children in our industry because we are highly compliant and there are so many laws. The Tobacco Act is very strict and very clear, and there are so many regulations, and we are highly compliant. Let me give you an example. In South Africa during COVID, I was here during COVID, they decided to ban tobacco 100%. And a lot of withdrawal symptoms and so much stress was in that country. And let me tell you, up to date, from 2020, up to date, because after a very short period, they just decided to ban tobacco by 100%. Up to date, the market of legal, because we're talking about legal businesses, the market of legal business before COVID was 70%. Up to date, so many years back, the market of legal consumption in South Africa is 30%. Let us be very realistic. So, if legal is not there, it means it was replaced by illegal. Let us be very realistic. Even when we are coming up with regulations that are we are here to control, because already the product has been declared to be legal. We're here to control, not to close. And these are some of the unrealistic decisions and passions that we're coming out with. In the process, we are risking the lives of our consumers very highly, because the only option they're left with is consumption of illicit, contraband, and things that we cannot even confirm, or even traditional tobacco. Let me explain something. Tobacco has its own risk. And actually, I'm using the word WHO is the one that recommended to the manufacturers in the world to come up with low-risk products. Because these people, they have to consume.
Yeah, but for what?
These people, they have to consume.
No, they
Products
don't
of
have
what,
to.
though?
Are they saying that it's okay, people can still consume the nicotine with all those health warnings? Cigarette smoking can cause is harmful to your health, can lead to cancer, can lead to impotence, and all those things. You're saying the World Health Organization said, okay, we understand all these things, but maybe what the problem is burning the tobacco in the cigarette. Or did the World Health Organization say, come up with ways in which you can wean out addicts from this, and come up with ways in which you can dissuade non-smokers from getting into smoking through secondary smoking, and that's where the lighting up of cigarettes comes in, control the places where people smoke, such that it's only people who want to smoke who are in that area, and the non-smokers do not have to get secondary smoking. If you're coming up with the alternatives, you have to have a managed way of using them to get this person off the nicotine addiction. Is that not what the WHO is all about?
I think that the document is bigger than that. I know that is part and parcel of the impact. Let me give you another statistics. That is in Kenya. In Kenya, 4 years ago, the number of sticks that were being used were 4 billion. A lot of these WHO things
Per what?
4 billion sticks
Per
year.
In a year.
Yeah, in a year. A lot of these campaigns have been done, and I'm not a supporter of WHO, and I'm happy because the incoming president of the United States, that is President Donald J. Trump, he calls it a corrupt WHO, or a WHO that does not have a lot of objective. So I'm not a supporter. There's a lot of campaigns they have done to our farmers and what have you to make sure that they reduced. So right now, the sticks have reduced to around 2.5 billion. And they're very happy and talking about the campaigns that they've done. Do you know what has replaced 2.5 billion? It is illicit and contraband.
How do you know
What?
this?
It's that of research.
illicit and contraband what?
Of cigarettes.
So you're saying that
So we
legal
really-
sale of cigarettes has dropped from 3 million a year to 2.5 million a year.
Yes.
The 500,000 has gone into illicit.
Yes, it's gone into alternative, which is illicit.
Why?
Just because of coming up with policies
No,
that,
how-
number one, they're not consultative.
Why would people be going into illicit? Cigarette smoking is not illegal in Kenya.
It's not banned in Kenya.
Let me give you some of the controls and campaigns that WHO has come out with, and some of these organizations is increment of excise duty and taxes on cigarettes to ensure that they reduce consumption. So it makes it to be very expensive. The legal and legit product to be very expensive at the expense of there's a lot of contraband that can get into this country. And that's one of the challenges that we'll be giving to the Ministry of Health. We're just investing in campaigns, in negative campaigns, on a legal product that is not bearing a lot of options. Instead, and of course even the government, backing and increasing the taxes, and we're getting alternatives.
Boniface, if you're to use that, because you started by saying this is the statistics for Kenya,
Yes.
and you told us a certain year. Which year was it that we had 3 million?
No, that is 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
That is 4 years ago.
So 2020,
Yes.
the number of cigarette sticks sold in this country
4
in the
billion.
year was 4 billion.
Yes.
In which year did it drop to 2.5?
This year,
2024.
Yes.
It has dropped to
2.5 billion.
2.5 billion.
Yes.
So 1.5 billion sticks reduction.
Yes.
Show me the effect of tax, because show me.
In terms of reduction of taxes,
No, the effect of tax.
Yeah.
4 years ago, this was how much a stick was costing, and now this is how much a stick is costing, and the alternative is available in the market. You operate in this industry, you can tell us that there's an alternative that costs this much.
good. In terms of operation of taxes, in 4 years ago, when the sticks were doing that, and alternatives, that is illegal alternatives, got into the market, we would do 40 billion as an industry.
40
In
billion.
terms of,
40 billion
that is a payment of taxes. That is all the taxes in a year. Right now, we are doing 20 billion.
Are you saying that the 20 billion reduction in payment of taxes has come as a result of cigarettes being sold less by 1.5 billion sticks less?
Not less. That replacement has been done, or that portion of 1.5 billion has been occupied by illicit.
But what's a policy that has made the reduction happen?
All these campaigns by WHO, which are not
ones?
consultatives.
Which one?
Like, for example,
We are within the historical space.
yes.
Right.
Let me give you an example.
2020, COVID time, 2024, where we are today. Tell me, there was a campaign in 2020, 2021, 2022, and the effect on cigarette smoking progressively was this.
Good.
Or legal sale of cigarettes was this. There was a tax, because you said tax was one of those campaigns. So let's start with tax. What was the tax on cigarettes in 2020?
The total tax from the industry was 40 billion.
No, what were the taxes on cigarettes? Excise tax, this.
Of course, all of them. So I've combined all of them.
How was it affecting the price of a stick or a packet? The cigarette is not sold in sticks in Kenya. What was the price of a packet of cigarettes in 2020? What percentage of it was tax? In 2024, what's the price of a packet of cigarettes? What percentage of it is tax? Show me that because of the increase in the percentage of tax, because of the increase in the price of tax, it has made it less affordable, and so people are going for the cheaper alternatives. Do that homework, and then you can take us through nicely, because that's your argument.
That is it.
That we need to go into a certain direction because policies are affecting.
That is
and
true.
then we'll also hear from Harrison, who's saying, I deal with people who have been addicted, have come to me because they are addicted to smoking,
Right.
and they want to quit. And what is the way then that we help them to quit? Okay. Harrison Mwaura is a counseling psychologist at Wonder Peace Wellness Center, and Boniface Gachoka is the Secretary General of the Bar, Hotels and Liquor Traders Association on this World No Tobacco Day.
I want to understand a couple of things here. When we talk about addiction at the point whereby you cannot help yourself, you cannot do anything when you don't have your fix, right?
Yes.
Let's park that. It also means that it doesn't matter what you need to do to get your fix, and it doesn't matter how much it costs at that time you need it. Is that what we're talking about that happens with
And
smoking?
There's something that was said. Addiction is the continued use of a substance. Compulsive use, you lose control, and continued use in spite of the negative consequences. You have the negative consequences. You're smoking cigarette. It's causing cancer. You know it's causing the harm to your lungs. It's causing everything. But still you continue because you're addicted to it. No matter what you do, you still do it.
And it doesn't matter how much it costs, you're going to get it?
Including
anyway?
your health and the cost and everything. You know well that tobacco causes cancer. It has around 5,000 chemicals. You have the arsenic chemical in cigarette that is used in the manufacturing of rat poison and pesticide. That is what is contained in nicotine. We know all this, but you still continue it because you are addicted.
And what about how much it costs on the pocket? You talked about it was affecting your financial capabilities. Does it matter how much this thing costs that you're going to use your bottom shilling to get it if you need to?
It doesn't matter. Even if the government increases the stakes and so on, I will still buy it. Even if they're selling it at 100, I'll still buy it because I need it.
Okay.
And I will still go to the extent of even stealing for me to obtain that cigarette. You can imagine the effect it has on children. You know, nowadays, when you smoke cigarette, it smells a lot. It has everything on your fingers. You can imagine we have smoked and I just enter this room. It will be so stuffy and so on. So what the manufacturers have done, they have introduced the smokeless products. Those are the Vero, e-cigarettes and so on. That one you can consume and nobody realize that you have smoked. But at the end of it is that you have still.
So the effect is the same.
The effect is the same. It is still in nicotine.
So even with the pouches and e-cigarette, you still have that compulsive.
You still have that compulsive. And you can imagine, nowadays what the manufacturers have done, they have introduced the e-cigarettes and the vape. You have heard of the vape. The vape, they have manufactured it in terms of pens. You can see your child with a pen, and what they are doing, they are vaping, including a watch, including the biro pens. That is what they are doing in class, and you don't know what they are doing. So you can imagine this child, because when you see them, they have smoked, smelling cigarettes and so on, you definitely ask him. But then when they're smoking, they won't assess
When
this
they're vaping,
thing.
you will not know.
You will not know. So what will happen to this child when they reach 18 years? They will switch from the vape now to the smoking one.
Which is more expensive?
Which is more expensive? Oh, no, addiction is expensive.
No. I'm talking about in price.
Oh, in price.
What is more expensive between the vape and the cigarette? And we do know that cigarette sticks are still being sold.
Yes, they are still
You
being
can
sold.
buy a single stick
And it's legal.
in your whatever,
Yes.
in the shop,
In the shop and so
Duka,
on.
whatever. What's more expensive, a vape or cigarette right now?
It all depends with the brand. You know, there are high quality cigarettes and low quality cigarettes. When you come now to the vaping and so on, there are still some are high and some are low. So it all depends with the brand. But the catch is here: when you are addicted, even if it's expensive, you'll do whatever you can to get it, to get it. And the more you become addicted, you go even to the lesser brands, to the lower ones.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Tobacco Control Act says that you cannot sell cigarette in sticks.
Yes,
you
and
have, you
I
have
think
to
that
buy
is
it
an illegal statement.
You have to buy the cigarette in a packet. Huh?
That is true.
But now, so how are people, in your argument, Boniface, how are people leaving this legal cigarette to go for a contraband cigarette?
They're still selling, but let's be clear. Even though it is illegal, that the cigarettes are still being sold as single sticks today.
Many people
it is
are
happening.
buying sticks.
I can't stand with that.
Many people are buying single sticks today.
I'll just restrict myself to the law. Let me give some statistics because we were there. First of all, 50% of the tobacco industry is owned by government. Government is the biggest shareholder because of the taxes and what have you. So actually the industry is just left with 30% to take care of in terms of taxes, in terms of the taxes that we contribute. And tobacco industry remains.
So it's not that the government actually has shares in tobacco manufacturing companies.
They take 50% of the revenue. So I think it means they are a major beneficiary of a tobacco industry.
Okay. Shareholder, different.
Of course, even. So the other thing is this: tobacco remains a significant contributor of taxes in this country and a great supporter of this economy. And we were actually on the campaign. So one of the campaigns, actually these are recent campaigns that we feel that these are resources that are supposed to be directed into doing something else. And so there's a campaign that was done on cowpeas beans, which was actually done in areas where tobacco is grown in Kenya. That is Migori and the other places. That actually last year, no tobacco day was actually in Migori. And they were given some beans which was an alternative that was supposed to grow for them to stop growing tobacco. Actually, this project was the same way I'm calling it nonsensical or didn't have sense, because the farmers did grow and they did reduce, and this is one of the impact that I'm telling you of WHO. A few of them did reduce from growing tobacco. And once they were through with the products and they grew, they had no market. The beans were not even known, the type of the beans that was grown in Migori, Bungoma and what have you. And at the end of the day, those farmers incurred huge losses and they lost a whole agricultural farming year because of that alternative. And right now as we are talking, all of them are already coming back.
Supported with facts, please.
Yes. Right now as we are talking, yes, I'm going to put it.
Supported in facts. So you're saying that farmers in Migori and elsewhere who went to alternative crops.
That is beans. Let's call it. I think cowpeas beans is a kind of a bean.
And remember, Kenya won an award last year because of this attempt at reducing and giving alternatives to the farmers of tobacco. Now you're saying that they incurred heavy losses.
Yes.
What do you mean by they incurred heavy losses compared to when they are contract farmers for tobacco? And you're saying that they did not have a market for these beans.
Yes. So
what are you basing this on?
When the campaign came, they talked. They gave a value of the output in terms of the product, the cost of the product and what have you. And the bean was unique because the conditions in where tobacco succeeds are high in terms of temperatures and what have you. But when the product was, the output was out, there was no market for the product. There was no strategy for reservation and storage of the product. And these beans were sold at throwaway prices. And majority of those farmers, I can even give you facts, they're around 1,900 are already back in tobacco farming with a lot of regrets. That's what I'm saying. WHO should come up with end-to-end solutions. Plus, of course, consultations. Let us not just do campaigns just for the sake. Let me also go back to the impact of cigarettes in terms of sticks. I think these are statistics that you had asked for. We were doing 4 billion sticks in the industry. Right now we are doing 2.5. The cost of one stick in Kenya, or the cost of, let me deal with the industry. The industry in Kenya, in terms of tobacco, contributes a lot or performs very well in the international market. Actually, is actually even 80%. What we consume from the production is around 20%. So it means if we produce a product here and sell it at a very high price, and the same product can be exported into our neighboring countries, Tanzania and the others, at a very affordable price, the option and the alternative, we are Kenyans, is contraband.
What are you saying?
That is the option.
What are you saying?
If a product is consumed from this country...
I'm not getting what you're saying, Boniface. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me go back again.
Because you're saying that we reduced...
From 4 billion to 2.5.
Smoking of cigarettes. And then you've said that our cigarettes are still very cheap, that they can still be exported. And...
Products meant for export. Products meant for export.
What's the connection? What is the cause of the reduction?
Let me repeat myself for you to get
to 2.5 billion sticks.
Yes, let me repeat myself. Product meant for exports, they're not taxed. Then they don't incur the huge taxes that we have on cigarettes. And if we export, so the manufacturer is the same. The 100% manufacturer is the same. So. And he has 20% of the market share. So what he brings here at 20% has a lot of taxes. I think it's the same thing that we incur in the liquor industry. That you can buy one of a brand at 250 in Kenya. The same brand if you go to Tanzania, or you go, the same brand that was manufactured in Kenya, it goes for 120. The difference is this government or our country taxes us very highly. Now, we were looking at this, the size of cigarette. Unlike the size of...
Before you move, 4 billion, 2.5 billion.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
What is wrong is this. The 1.5 billion difference was replaced by contrabands.
How?
Contrabands of cigarettes?
Of cigarettes, yes. Okay. Contrabands of cigarettes.
So we have unbranded cigarettes that are coming into the market.
We have unbranded.
And where are they being sold?
They're full in the market because they are readily affordable. They can easily be carried in terms of volume. You know, a bag of cigarette can carry one bag, just a normal small bag of cigarette can carry cigarette worth 5 million.
So what you're saying,
of the size.
What Balita is saying is that 1.5 billion cigarette sticks a year have now moved from formal to contraband.
That is it.
That's what you're saying.
That is what I'm saying.
That the people are still smoking the same 4 billion.
Yes.
That even that number has not grown, has not reduced.
Plus, of course, the whole investment and campaigns that have been done by WHO without considering stakeholders' involvement and opinions.
And you have this on authority that there's 1.5 billion sticks that are contraband that are finding their way into the Kenyan market.
The tobacco industry is a highly researched and science-backed industry. So whatever we are saying, these are statistics that we actually shared with the government like, I think a month ago or 2 weeks. These are statistics that we have.
Okay.
Yes.
So these 1.5 billion are still cigarette sticks.
Yes.
And so the pouches that you're talking about are not even in this 1.5.
They're not even in that. They're not even that. And I'll even now let me even touch on the pouches. Let me touch on the pouches. So we've already accepted that the pouches are reducing risk because they're smokeless, because they're reducing the risks in the risk of infections, the risk of cancer. A lot of risks are being reduced by 90%, which was a recommendation of WHO. And let me give you some statistics. We actually looking at the options. I am one of them. I am one of the people who moved from smoking to smokeless products. That is the nicotine pouches. In Kenya, from a campaign, the same case, World Health Organization campaign, the smokeless product, that is the nicotine pouches, was stopped. And the price, and this is what I actually wanted to convince you, the price of a legal smokeless products was 300 shillings. The one that was legal, they're paying taxes. I mean, there's proper employment. There was a lot of distribution channels. There was a lot of compliance in terms of law. And the product was in the market. Right now, the alternative, because let me tell you, we are still accessing illegal and contraband smokeless products. They're still in the market. In fact, there are so many. And right now, there is a total 100% ban of smokeless products or nicotine pouches. And we're still accessing it. Do you know how much we're buying one? 2,000 shillings. And that is how, that is the kind of campaigns that we're criticizing.
I guess then there's the answer to the question that I asked. So the alternatives are actually cheaper than the cigarettes? More expensive. The alternatives are more expensive than the cigarette?
One of the things that I want to convince
Yes.
is one. First
Yes.
of all, to convince my brother. I'm going to answer
Is
you.
the alternative more expensive than the cigarette?
What we are getting, because there is a total ban, because he was talking about today is no tobacco day. If we do a total ban on these products, this product must get into the market. And that's why I'm saying I'm also using one of them. I'm using a lot of it.
Boniface?
Yes.
Is the alternative to cigarettes more expensive than the cigarette?
Right now, because there is a total ban.
You're spending more for your habit.
That is it.
Are you
Right.
still addicted?
I am. Me, I am. Me, I am addicted. So we're actually ripping off from Kenyan's investment and from Kenya's economy. We're ripping them off by denying them an opportunity of expression or consumption of what is legal.
But cigarettes are not illegal in Kenya.
Yeah, they are legal, but the smokeless products have already been banned.
Right. So
But the cheaper alternative is legal.
alternative is legal.
And that is what I'm saying.
The cheaper alternative is legal. So
Now
that
you're coming to where I'm saying. You're coming to where I'm saying. WHO campaigns are impacting negatively on what we're doing. In fact, one of the things that
You
we
have
would like
not
us to do.
demonstrated that. Boniface, let's just end on that. You have not demonstrated that. You have not demonstrated how negative, what the negative impact is. Not convincingly demonstrated. The point is, if you're still addicted, would you like to quit smoking or would you like to continue with the addiction?
The opportunity for me to express myself and to consume what I want is my right.
You want freedom.
Given by the Constitution. And one of the things that we don't refuse is control. What you're supposed to do is control the industry, not close.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's control.
Yes.
The Cigarette Control Act controls access, distribution, and introduction of tobacco products.
That
The
is true.
Tobacco Control Act.
That is true.
Right? So it's control. Tobacco Control Act has not banned tobaccos. But on a day like this, and that's why Harrison was saying, well, you're talking about how do you stop the introduction of tobacco products to young ones, to children? How would you advocate for that? Is there a sense in making sure that your children do not start smoking?
Of course, yes.
Or consumption of tobacco products?
That is a theme of,
So how would you
of today.
How would you advocate for that?
That is the theme of today, and I'm very happy. We have done a lot of controls in terms of even way above what is in the law, because access of tobacco to the law is madness, is something we wouldn't support. One of the things is this. We have even gone ahead and done campaigns to ensure not only access of tobacco as the final product, but we are doing campaigns even behind in terms of farming by putting controls to ensure that no child labor is allowed in that place. So those are campaigns that we've done, and facilitation, and a lot of campaigns we've done on that. We've ensured that even the children, even in families where they're growing, the children do not participate in activities that relate to farming of tobacco. And if one of them is caught, the farmers, they know they're supposed to be registered. So we are greatly in support of campaigns. And we also do campaigns that discourage consumption and access of tobacco and even the smokeless product. That is a nicotine purchase to children.
Let me bring Harrison in here. And if we're going to look at then getting over these addictions, because those are the things that we are dealing with when it comes to No Tobacco Day. What do we see actually works? What worked for you? Was it a one-day decision to say, look, I'm not doing this anymore because I can see the dangers? Or is there a process that you walked through for anybody who's wanting to come off the addiction?
To quit any addiction, with all the negative consequences of smoking cigarettes, when you look at maybe the statistics, 2.7 million people in Kenya smoke cigarettes and 220,000 children using nicotine. And when you look at the deaths, 6,000 people die as a result of smoking tobacco and nicotine, the lung cancer and so on. So what we do now, for you to smoke, to stop taking tobacco and so on, it has to be willpower that I want to quit using nicotine and tobacco products and so on. Then from there are various ways that you can help you maybe quit smoking. You can do it medically. There are medicines that are approved by by the medical organization. There's vanicillin. It's called bupropion. When you use that, you don't have to use the nicotine pouches. You don't have to use that, and you eliminate all the negative consequences. You can imagine the effect that is happening. So there are structures that have been put in place. There are counseling things that have been put in place to help you quit cigarettes. There's something called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. This is a person who said, I need to smoke cigarette. There are techniques that you can help this person change his cognition, and he won't be able to and he won't be able to access the cigarette. When you come about maybe the delaying tactics, the drinking water, the distraction, the making decision, and so on, all these ones will help you get out of the addiction. So all that I can say, maybe what Boniface is saying, he's in the business. Then they make money. But for us, what we say, nicotine causes problem and causes deaths.
And maybe something else that I can say is on the issue of counterfeits. I think it's good I touch on it. We have invested a lot in terms of fighting counterfeit, more than even the government. And that is one of the things that we support. One of the things that I'm also calling on the parents is that we cannot adjudicate our responsibility of taking care to our children. Right now we are doing a lot of campaigns against access of nicotine, access of cigarette, access of... We have a duty as a community and as a responsible country to ensure that we empower our children and we take responsibilities. I mean, we cannot just be sitting down and calling parents, and we're not even following up to ensure that our children... parental responsibility should also take precedence.
We end there. Thank you very much. Boniface Gachoka is the Secretary General of Barlita, the Bar, Hotel and Liquor Traders Association, while Harrison Mwaura Irongo is a counseling psychologist and the rehab manager at Wonder Peace Wellness Center. It's World No Tobacco Day.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.